Hello, you're watching We Have a Hulk channel. So we've got a great interview coming up for you with Joe Dinicol from Arrow, who plays Ragman, but there will be spoilers for season 5. Enjoy! So hello Joe, aka Ragman.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm okay, thanks. Nice to be here.
Yeah, good. So were you a fan of the comics or TV show before getting the role?
I'm a sort of distant comic fan. I'm a big movie fan, so certainly the DC universe, by way of all the certainly the Batman movies, and as a kid the old Batman and Robin TV show.
Oh, nice.
And a sort of loose comic book fan my whole life, but not very intensely. And I watched Arrow when it first started, and then sort of fell off by virtue of not having cable for many years, and have sort of gotten back into it, having become part of the show, and rediscovering the whole sort of universe of Flash and Supergirl and all that stuff. So it's been cool to sort of rediscover it as I become a part of it.
Nice. So what's it like wearing the suit? It looks a bit not uncomfortable, but
Listen, the suit really depends on what time of year it is.
Good point. Yeah.
The suit is mostly comfortable depending on the temperature. So it is a little oppressive. It's the mask is a little on the tight side, and the rags, the sort of the coat and the hood are quite heavy. But that all sort of adds to the physicality of the character, which does a lot of the work for me. When I started this year in July, it was first of all, it's nice that it's mostly night shoots and not wearing it in the beating sun.
Yeah.
But because it's in Vancouver, by sort of like late August, early September, it basically rains all the time. So being in the suit actually became, everyone was sort of looking at me at the beginning of the season going, you're going to be the one who really wins in the winter. And they were absolutely right. So it really depends on the time of year. And, but it is a little oppressive, a little claustrophobic, certainly at first, but it looks amazing. And like I said, it does a lot of the work for me in terms of the physicality. So that part of it, I'm extremely grateful for. So I give the suit 2 thumbs up when all is said.
Yeah. So how does the CGI actually work? How do you film the scenes with the suit?
So I thought you were going to ask me how CGI works. I have no idea.
That's a bit too complicated.
They have very, very talented people for that. No, I to be honest, they're so good at it now. And by they, I just mean, the technicians and the people in the business in general, that I was sort of ready for it to be a really arduous process of having to sort of swap in green screens and do very finicky camera stuff. And because the technology is so good now, they really, other than doing some what's called like plate shots, which is wherever you film the scene, you have to sort of, everyone steps out and they film the area without you in it so that they can kind of duplicate it and add things. They just kind of paint it all in afterwards, which is remarkable considering how good it looks. I mean, it was one of the things that was quite, when I got the part and I started sort of going through the comics, I thought, well, this is a cool looking character in the comics, but it's one of those things where you're like, how are they going to do this? Like when we all looked at the old X-Men comics and we were like, we're going to have live human beings wearing yellow and blue. What's happening? What are we going to do? And when I saw the costume was sort of grounded and real and gritty and ultimately kind of terrifying. My only real concern left was the tendrils, the rags themselves. And I don't know, I might be on my own, but I think they look pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty cool to see what they do and how quick they turn it around and how easy it is. I mean, we really don't spend a lot of time. There's not a lot of like, all right, we're going to do a Ragman scene. Everyone buckle up. This is going to take a day.
Yeah, get a magazine out.
that being said, I'm sure it's very expensive to do, but it's not finicky for us on set, at least.
Yeah.
So it's I assume it's some genius designers and computer people spending a lot of time and well-earned school money on putting it all together after we go home for the day. But it's certainly not a big deal for us.
Yeah. Awesome. So are we going to see more of Rory's abilities in the show? Because in the comic books, he kind of draws upon powers from his corrupted souls. Do you think we'll see more of that?
Yeah. Well, I think what's kind of cool about the show, and what's cool for me, anyways, is we're kind of because that is, let's say, a pretty out there concept,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
A cool one at that, and because Arrow is of the I guess 4 shows is the most sort of grounded in reality. We're sort of finding out what of that stuff works in this world and what doesn't. The other thing that's kind of cool is that I'm sort of, that Rory is sort of discovering these powers as he goes. The rags were put on him at a great inflection point when his parents were, when everyone he knew was wiped off the face of the earth. So no one was really around to let him know the ins and outs of these powers. You will definitely see him stretch. I will say you will definitely see him stretch the boundaries of those powers. As far as he can go. I won't say any more about that, but you will definitely see him really go to the far reaches of those powers and see what they can do. So I will say that, and that's one of my favorite episodes coming up.
Oh, that sounds really exciting. So how did you all react when you read the script and you found out that Evelyn, betrays the team?
I mean, we had a little bit of speculation within us.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, as to, we were all kind of like, we got brought in, the 3 of us got brought in this year, and we were like, well, I sort of started off as a bit of a bad guy.
True.
And, we're all pretty savvy, not just people, but television viewers. I mean, someone has to turn, so it's just more interesting television. At least I think so. So there was some, and I think because Madison is so not just such a good actor, but such an endearing person, it gives the biggest, as we would say in acting, the biggest swing, right? It gives you the most it's the most diametrically opposed to the way she is. So it's certainly the most interesting, the most shocking. But it was, how did we react? I mean, mostly we were kind of bummed. We all became kind of, in the way that you get sort of weirdly attached to the of your characters in this, we know it's fake, but we believe it anyway kind of way. We became kind of a family, and it sort of all came out. I think that's the Christmas episode that all comes out. We were filming a scene where we were filming a Christmas scene, and it felt weird to be like, oh, she's not one of us, so it was sad because we all. I mean, I love Madison, and that's not to say she won't be around or whatnot, but yeah, it was definitely hard to see one of them, especially because we all started at the same time, and it was we all kind of bonded in that way. So it was tough to give up one of the team.
Yeah, it's such a shame though, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but someone's got to be the bad guy. I mean, and
true.
Also, at the end of the day, it's kind of more fun to play that stuff. So certainly she gets to do something as an actor that's a lot more fun too.
Yeah. So what was it like filming the crossover episode?
I mean, it was very cool to do a scene, with a woman who flies and the Flash, and it was very cool. We had fairly little to do in ours, and they were all doing each other's show, so it was sort of amazing on our set to just watch people. I mean, it's a huge undertaking what they do every year now, and to watch Steven and Emily and those guys come in being like, oh, today I was on Legends of Tomorrow, and tomorrow I do Flash, and now I'm doing. It's a crazy schedule for these guys. I mean, we were lucky. We got to be in our crossover and have that kind of thrill, and not have it's what am I trying to say? It's a big undertaking, and so I was sort of thankful to not have to do all the other ones this time. Although I think it would be very cool. But to see the finished product, I mean, it was unbelievable. I thought it was cool. So it was certainly cool to be a part of it. And our crossover was Arrow's 100th episode, so that was another sort of cool milestone to be a part of. And it's these like television nowadays, which is in its sort of heyday. One of the fallouts is that shows just don't go as long because there's so much choice, there's so much variety. A bad show just doesn't last. And so to be working on a show, even as we did, just coming in this season, but to be working on a show that's been around and and more than likely will be around for a while, is a cool feeling. It's, most of the TV I've done up until this past year has been, first season, maybe second season of a show.
Yeah.
And you're kind of watching to see if are people watching it. We're really happy with it, but is anybody taking notice? It can be a bit stressful and it can be a bit disappointing sometimes. And so to work on something, especially the crossover, where you know how many people are not just waiting for it, but are going to watch it, really loved it. Like Patton Oswalt tweeted about it. I was like, and I was like, I'm a huge stand-up comedy nerd. And so I read that. I'm like, this is so cool. Like people that I are watching these things and it's cool to be a part of something that becomes part of the sort of collective unconscious or part of the zeitgeist. So it's a real honor.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the great news that you've all been renewed for another series as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that was kind of a no-brainer, but
True.
Certainly still very proud and pleased for everyone.
Yeah. So what is it actually like on set of Arrow? I mean, you've got such characters. I bet it's hilarious, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, like I said, we had the great privilege this year of, often when you come on to shows, you're the new guy, right? Which can be fun and terrifying and stressful and all good and bad things. This year, there was 3 of us that came on, which made it infinitely more fun, easier. And because it's the 5th season of a show, I think there's a certain vibe on the set where, again, we're not there to take anyone's job. They know the show's a success. They know how to do it, and I think they're just happy to have new people to play with. One of the great joys of being an actor is variety. And when you're on a show for a long time, I think you start to really enjoy when new people come on because it's a new flavor, it's a new color, it's a new whatever you want to call it. And so certainly everyone that coming in, everyone seemed really excited. The 3 of us really got along right off the bat. And, a lot of our stuff, especially in the early part of the season, was myself and Rick and Madison, Echo and Emily, and the odd time Steven popping in. But, the sort of the like 6 of us in the 5-6 of us in the bunker. And those days are, we do all the bunker stuff, in a day. And so we're there for, 4 hours and you get pretty close and you go a bit loopy and you get all that sort of good stuff that you want. It's like, I always kind of compare it to like the rehearsal period for a play where, you're tired, but you're working through stuff and you're sort of in one room with people and you get really close. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of fun between the 3 new people and Echo and Emily who are amazing and hilarious and fun to be around, and it's been a real joy of a set to come on to.
Nice. So do any of you get competitive at all? Because obviously there's a lot of training involved and lots of props and stuff.
Here's the thing. I don't really have to train.
Oh, nice.
So no one is look, when you have Rick Gonzalez and Stephen Amell and David Ramsey, no one's asking Joe Dinicol to take his shirt off on a TV show. So no, listen, this is fine by me.
Okay.
And because of the nature of of my costume, Joel, my amazing stunt double, who's also one of the heads of the stunt team, he does a lot of the even slightly dangerous stuff that I have to do because they can't tell it's me in there half the time, anyways. He's an amazing stunt guy, fighter, mover. I mean, he really is phenomenal, and because it can be a little difficult to see in the mask, it can be dangerous. Some of the stuff, a lot of wire work.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to train to do a lot of, and because Ragman's abilities aren't sort of hand-to-hand combat, I don't sort of have to train in the same way. I mean, yeah. So that part of it, although I do see them all sort of training together, and it does seem like a lot of fun at the same time, it's not the end of the world. I can go and have a glass of wine with them afterwards. That's totally fine with me. So I don't know in terms of competitive. I mean, everyone is so supportive. Everyone also what Berlanti and those guys and Kreisberg and Guggenheim do so well. And especially when they bring new people onto those shows, is they really figure out what is sort of missing on the show, or what could be what sort of hole could be filled. And so I don't think anyone else sees any other character mowing their lawn, so to speak. No two characters are doing the same thing or are after the same thing or going through the same thing. And so I think when you're in a scene or on a show where you're like, this guy and me, we're kind of the same character. They're probably going to get rid of one of us. You might run into that kind of thing, but they've done such a great job of carving out niches and really and really making sure that every character is specific and their own sort of entity. And so it never really feels like that. I look at what Rick's doing on the show, and I'm so thrilled to watch his work and proud of him and happy to stand by him. And I think he would say the same of me, and same with Echo and Emily and Steven, everyone. We're all out there, painting with a different color, all needed for the show. And so I think it's in my experience, it's been a pretty supportive group for that reason. And everyone gets their moment, and everyone gets their sort of time to shine and help make the show what it is.
Definitely, yeah. So following the mid-season finale, how are Team Arrow kind of going to regroup after that shocking last scene? I mean, because Dick was in jail, Mr. Terrific was in hospital, Evelyn's betrayed them, and Felicity's kind of broken.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It'll certainly it certainly puts the strength of the team to a test. And what's cool about the next part of the season is that you'll see you'll see them either pull together or not based on how strong they've gotten. There's been a lot of we've shown a lot of the sort of dissension and the cracks in the team, as they sort of come together and form and put it all together. But I think we'll be surprised at how strong they've actually become. Especially in the face of Evelyn detracting, that was a really galvanizing thing for the team. And I think it'll keep them together and make them stronger than even they thought they would be. And so it'll be interesting to see. But there will be a sort of struggle to stay strong and stay together, because they're facing, Prometheus is a pretty formidable foe whose main sort of focus is to sort of turn everyone against the Green Arrow, and that and because the team is new, that's he can become quite successul at times with that, because no one is that close to Oliver yet. So it's a cool dynamic. They're getting very close, but there's also wedges being pushed in constantly. So it's a very cool back and forth in the second half of the season.
Ooh, looking forward to it. So, can you give us any clues to Prometheus' identity at all?
Absolutely not.
Oh, damn. I mean, did you guess it at all?
Did I guess it? No.
No? Okay.
I don't even want to tell you that. No. Listen, I will say it's very satisfying.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very satisfying. I can't even tell you if we're going to even find out. I'm sure we will, but they don't tell me anything. So I'm, except for knowing I'm as in the dark as you are as to how it will all unfold. But I guarantee you, this season is a real. I can tell you, as someone who's just come in this year, everyone who's been on the show the whole time is stoked about this season. Like really, really excited about the direction. I think part of the good vibe on set is that everyone is really behind all the storylines, the direction it's all going. They're doing some really cool stuff. There's some really. Certainly we haven't filmed till the end of the season, but certainly the first 4 or 5 coming up after the break are they're just great episodes, and it really sort of propels into the end of the year. So I will say that everyone is very excited about how this year is unfolding, and I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Because there've been some crazy rumors. I mean, I think even your name popped up at one point.
Ooh. I like to be included in that. That's sure, yeah. I'm trying to think if Ragman's been in the same room as Prometheus.
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, that's the question. That's the old question we should all be asking about bad guys. But I don't think anyone except maybe Oliver has been in the same room as Prometheus and Evelyn. So really, anyone is fair game.
Yeah, anyone's a suspect.
Yeah.
Right. So moving on to DC. So what other characters would you love to play? You mentioned Batman earlier. I don't know whether that was.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I love about Green Arrow, and one of the things I love about Ragman is their sort of ties, certainly to that universe. I've been a Batman. I'm a big fan of the real guy who seeks justice, and so Batman, Green Arrow, those are the sort of characters that I gravitate towards. Certainly Batman. I don't know that I'll ever be a Batman. That's not maybe a Robin.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I love Batman. That would be the sort of that's sort of top of my list. I'm trying to think if there's any other. Yeah, no, Batman's kind of the guy. And
we'll have to get hold of Ben Affleck. I'm sure he's doing auditions for Robin.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they'll. Yeah, maybe I can audition for. I feel like I'm getting a little old for Robin, but maybe not. Maybe in this grizzled sort of older Batman world, maybe Robin's a little older too.
Yeah. So are you excited for Justice League, the film?
Yes. I'm always excited for those movies. And really anything with Batman, Superman, and all those guys is a big treat for me. But I watched the sort of the Comic-Con, whatever that sort of clip is. It's like 2.5 minutes. And I was really delighted at how funny it was.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was because it's one of the things that I think they do really well in the DC TV universe, which is there's a lot of fun to be had. Even in Arrow, which is kind of the darkest of them, there's a lot of humor. There's a lot of, and of course there has to be, because at some point, if you get too serious, people are going to be like, he's a Batman, right? That's kind of hilarious if we stop and think about it.
Yeah.
So I think to keep sort of humor in there, I was really excited to see that they had sort of upped. Seems like they've sort of upped the humor a little bit. So yeah, I'm stoked for it, and I'm into Ben Affleck as Batman. I'll say it.
Yeah, I think he's really good actually. I wasn't sure at first, but actually no, very impressed.
Yep, I'm on board.
So last one, you starred in one of my favourite films, Scott Pilgrim. What was it like?
Starred? I don't know. Let's back that up. My character's name, I believe, is Elevator Hipster. So let's not. Yeah, that was a movie that, that filmed in Toronto when I still lived in Toronto. I sort of auditioned for every part under the sun in that movie, and was just, he wanted a very specific thing, and God, I think the film is amazing. And I just kind of wasn't, as you are, I just wasn't right for anything. And towards the end of the film, they reached out and offered me this thing. It was a one-day thing. I'm just such a huge fan of Edgar's, and because they were making a very Toronto movie. Those comic books are set in Toronto.
Yeah.
And he didn't shy away from it. I really was, I just wanted to be a part of it. And it was a real treat. Edgar is a true gentleman. And we sort of spent the day gabbing. We got along like a house on fire. He's such a sweetheart. And at the premiere, he sort of beelined to me and was asking about how Toronto came off and wanted to make sure it looked great. And he took I was a character with no name doing one day. And so if that's any indication of how he treats anybody, which I think it probably is,
yeah,
it was a real joy to be around him and to be on that set. And so I will say that was a great day for me, regardless of how small the part was. And I think the movie is just something else. I really don't think there's anything else like it. And so I'm really proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you very much for appearing on the show with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I love podcasts. I'll check out more of your stuff. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm so excited for the rest of Arrow.
Yeah, you're going to love it. It's great.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So I hope you enjoyed that. If so, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.